Chapter 13, Delivering the Goods, Rendering and Exporting. Section 13.1, The Render Queue versus Adobe Media Encoder, When to Use Which. Section 13.2, Understanding Codecs, H.264, ProRes, and Transparent Backgrounds. Section 13.3, Reducing File Size, Optimization Tips for Web and Social Media. Section 13.4, Collect Files, Packaging your project for archive or transfer. In Chapter 12, we breathed soul into our motion graphics by syncing them with audio. We made the visuals dance to the beat and established an emotional rhythm. But right now, that magic only exists inside your computer, trapped within the After Effects interface. If you sent your project file, .eep, to a client or a friend, they likely wouldn't be able to open it. Even if they could, they might be missing your fonts or footage. To show the world what you have created, you need to bake your layers, effects, and audio into a single, standalone video file. This process is called rendering. It is the bridge between being a motion designer and being a content creator. It is also the stage where things can go wrong, colors shift, files become surprisingly huge, or backgrounds that should be transparent turn black. In this chapter, we are going to demystify the export process. We will look at the tools Adobe provides, understand the languages video files speak, and ensure your final product looks exactly as crisp on YouTube as it does on your monitor. Let's get your work out of the lab and into the wild. 13.1 The Render Queue versus Adobe Media Encoder, When to Use Which. One of the first confusing things beginners notice is that there are two ways to export video from After Effects. You can use the internal render queue or send the composition to the Adobe Media Encoder. Think of the render queue as a precision laboratory. It is built directly into After Effects and is designed to create high-quality, uncompressed, or lightly compressed, master files. It is strictly about fidelity. Adobe Media Encoder, AME, on the other hand, is a factory. It is a separate application designed for compression and distribution. It excels at taking heavy files and shrinking them down for the web, creating MP4s, and handling multiple projects at once. Figure, a split-screen comparison diagram. On the left, the After Effects Render Queue panel with high-contrast UI elements highlighting best settings and lossless. On the right, the Adobe Media Encoder interface showing a queue list with H.264 and YouTube 1080p presets. Arrows connect a central composition icon to both paths, labeled Master Quality, left, and Web Delivery, right. When to use the render queue. Use the render queue when you need a master file. This is a file you might use for further editing in Premiere Pro, or for archiving. It creates large files, but they preserve every pixel of detail. To add a comp to the render queue, 1. Select your composition in the project panel or timeline. 2. Go to the top menu, Composition and Add to Render Queue, shortcut, Ctrl+M or CMD+M. 3. The Render Queue panel will pop up at the bottom of your screen. When to use Adobe Media Encoder. Use Media Encoder when you want to post directly to YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. It uses efficient compression algorithms to make file sizes manageable without destroying quality. It also allows you to keep working in After Effects while the render happens in the background. To send a comp to Media Encoder, 1. Select your composition. 2. Go to Composition, Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue, shortcut, Ctrl+Alt+M or CMD+Op+M. 3. AME will launch, it might take a moment, and your project will appear in the list. 13.2 Understanding Codecs, H.264, ProRes, and Transparent Backgrounds. A video file is essentially a container, like .mov or .mp4. Inside that container is the video stream, which is compressed using a codec, see ARM-D compressor. Choosing the wrong codec is why your 10-second animation is suddenly 4 gigabytes in size. We are going to focus on the two industry standards you will use 99% of the time, ProRes and H.264. Apple ProRes, the professional standard. ProRes is a mezzanine codec. It is high quality and easy for computers to read during editing. I recommend using ProRes for 22 for high-quality masters. If you need to export an animation with a transparent background, like a lower third title or a subscribe button animation to place over other footage, you must use ProRes 4444. To export with transparency, Alpha channel, in the render queue, 1. Click on the blue text lossless next to Output module. 2. Set format to QuickTime. 3. Click Format Options and choose Apple ProRes 4444. 4. Crucial step, under Video Output, change channels from RGB to RGB plus Alpha. Figure, a close-up screenshot of the After Effects Output Module Settings dialog box. The focus is on the Video Output section. The channels drop-down menu is open and RGB plus Alpha is highlighted with a bright accent color. A cursor hovers over it. The format is set to QuickTime. If you forget to change RGB to RGB plus Alpha, After Effects will fill your transparent areas with black. This is the most common mistake I see new artists make when creating overlays. H.264, the web standard. H.264 is the codec used for MP4 files. It is incredibly efficient at squeezing high quality into small files. This is what you upload to YouTube, Vimeo, or send to clients for review. You generally render H.264s through Adobe Media Encoder, not the render queue. While the render queue can do it, AME offers better control over the bitrate and multipass encoding, which creates cleaner images at lower file sizes. 13.3 Reducing file size, optimization tips for web and social media. We all want the highest quality, but we also have to deal with bandwidth limits. If you email a client a 2 GB file for a 30-second draft, they won't be happy. Optimization is about finding the balance between quality and file size. The main lever you can pull here is bitrate. Bitrate is the amount of data allowed per second of video. High bitrate equals high quality large file. Low bitrate equals blocky quality small file. Target bitrates for social media. When exporting from Media Encoder using H.264, look for the Bitrate Settings tab. Here are some practical safe zones for 1080p renders. YouTube Vimeo, high quality 16 to 20 megabits per second, target bitrate. Instagram TikTok, 8 to 12 megabits per second. Client email preview, 3 to 5 megabits per second. Figure, a detailed view of the Adobe Media Encoder export settings window. The Video tab is selected. The Bitrate Settings section is expanded, showing a slider for Target Bitrate, Mbps. The slider is set to 12. A tooltip or call-out box explains, lower this number to reduce file size. Graphical icons of a phone, laptop, and TV indicate different target outputs. Resolution and frame rate. Don't export 4K if 80% of your viewers are on phones. Downscaling your 4K composition to 1080p upon export can cut your file size significantly and often looks sharper on small screens. In Media Encoder, you can uncheck the box next to width and height in the Video tab to manually type in 1080 for the height, assuming a 16:9 aspect ratio. This allows you to keep your high-res master project while delivering a lightweight file for the web. 13 point for collect files, packaging your project for archive or transfer. Imagine this scenario: you finish a project, render it, and delete the video clips you downloaded from a stock site to clear up space on your desktop. 6 months later, the client emails, "We love it, but can we change the text?" You open the project, and you are greeted by the color bars of death. Your footage is offline. Because After Effects only links to files rather than embedding them, deleting the source files breaks the project. To prevent this nightmare, you must use the Collect Files feature. This gathers every font, image, audio clip, and video file used in your composition and copies them into a single, neat folder. How to collect files. Save your project first. Go to File Dependencies, Collect Files. In the dialog box, ensure Collect Source Files is set to for all comps or just selected ones. Click Collect. Choose a destination folder. After Effects will create a folder containing your .eep file, a footage folder with all your assets, and a text report. This is the professional way to archive work. It allows you to move the project to an external hard drive or send it to another editor without worrying about missing links. It is a gift to future you. Closing thoughts. Rendering is the final deep breath of the creative process. It is the moment you commit your decisions to a permanent format. While codecs and bitrates can feel dry compared to the thrill of animation, mastering them ensures your art is seen exactly the way you imagined it. You now understand how to animate in space, track reality, sync audio, and deliver professional files. In the final chapter, we will look beyond the software. We will discuss how to build a portfolio, find work, and continue growing as a motion designer. Figure Mind Map, Chapter 13 Overview. Rendering and exporting, Graph TDA, a rendering and exporting, B, Render Queue versus Media Encoder, C, Understanding Codecs, D, Optimization, E, Archiving, B1, Render Queue, High Quality Masters, B2, Media Encoder, Web and Compression, B3, Q equals Precision, AME equals Efficiency, C1, ProRes, Editing Standard, C2, ProRes 4444, RGB plus alpha for transparency, C3, H.264, Web Standard .mp4, D1, bitrate controls file size, D2, target, 16 to 20 megabits per second for YouTube, D3, target, 8 to 12 megabits per second for social, D4, the downscale for K to 1080p for mobile, E1, dependencies collect files, E2, prevents missing footage, E3, essential for backups and handoffs, figure.